Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Claimed. Today, you'll hear an incredible conversation with women who have worked with me and who've been through the claim journey. This is actually a public coaching call. And why I'm coming to you now and letting you know about all this is because one of the women, unfortunately, had some technical issues. And so I'm so sad to say this, but we had to remove her part from the episode because it was just too challenging and some of the parts of the recording were lost and all of that, the mess that happens when tech issues arise. But fret not, because she's going to be coming back to the podcast to share her journey. So I just wanted to let you know that whenever you hear a reference to the 4 women on the call, know that there's supposed to be 4, but you're only going to hear from 3. And the 4th one is for sure coming on. So with that, enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Claimed. I am so excited today because I have in front of me on camera or whatever, I have 4 amazing, beautiful women today with me. And this is a very, very special interview, or I guess I'm not going to call it an interview, actually. This was supposed to be a coaching call, okay? So I put out a call into my Facebook group with all the clients in the Claim program. And I had this idea of giving you all listeners and watchers, viewers, a chance to see what goes behind the scenes in Claimed, what's happening actually on a live coaching call, because obviously this is an experience that only clients receive or have when they join the program. And I was quite surprised and very humbled that these 4 amazing women said, yes, I'm going to come and be coached publicly by you. So I just want to preface this and say, I mean, obviously when I interview clients like a testimonial and stuff, when there's a success story, this is already vulnerable. But for the 4 of you to come on this call and be open to being coached and to ask questions and all of that is like next level vulnerability. And I very much commend you for it. And in the process, as we're figuring out all of our technology issues with these amazing women, we also found out that the 3 out of these 4 women, well, one of them is like, this has been on my bucket list to get on your podcast. But 3 out of the 4 women are actually here, not necessarily to share their challenges and get my support or whatever, but they're really are here to, I guess, support me and come on the podcast and share their success. And then one of the women, and I'm very happy that she's here, actually has a challenge that we're all here to help and support. So thanks so much, ladies, for being here with us. We've got Lena, Rima, Mariale, and Amanda. And so before you speak and before you get to introduce yourself, actually, let me unmute you all while you say hello, and then we're going to start with a drop-in. So hello, ladies. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for letting us hear your voice. So I'm just going to mute you all again. So what we're going to do now, we have less than an hour, and I really want everyone to get a real experience of what it means to be on a group coaching call with me in the Claim Group program. So usually how we start is with a drop-in. This is an embodiment experience where we drop into the body, we arrive, and if you're listening to this or watching, I invite you to join us. Then after that, we'll be sharing some wins. I'll ask the ladies to introduce themselves and also share some wins, because we always start with this like high energy of wins. And after that, we'll get into it. And Mariale is going to be probably in the hot seat. Mariale will listen, will hear what your challenge is, will answer questions, not only me, but I'll give also the other ladies a chance to help you out, because as I was telling all of you, and as you know, the journey in Claimed is not all rainbows and unicorns. Yes, as you do the work, you might see, and all the women are like, oh, yes, as you do the work, parts of it are amazing and you're starting to see transformation as you start doing the flow or whatever. But sometimes, as any journey worth taking, it has its lows. And I always tell women on an onboarding call that expect challenges. Challenges are absolutely normal. And I want to, even in our group, sometimes I see like women freak out. Oh, this is not working. What do I do? Oh my God, it's not working. I feel like all of that is part of the process, and it's all normal. And it's the tools that we have in the program are teaching us to actually be with the mess. Can we be with the mess? Can we sit in this discomfort? Can we reach out for help and say, I'm curious, what do you see, and how can I go forward in a better way? And this journey, I always say, it's very much cyclical. It's not linear, and it's cyclical. You're always growing. Anything that you do that's out of your comfort zone and you're growing, that's what we're doing in Claimed, is going to bring on its challenges. And so that's what we're here for, to do the work, to grow and transform. And I'm super happy that 3 of you here are just like to share your success. So thanks so much. And Mariali, I'm sure you'll get there. It's just sometimes it takes time and additional work and support. So having said that, let's drop in. So closing down your eyes, and I invite all of you who are listening, watching, to join us in closing down your eyes and leaning back into your chair, couch, wherever you're sitting or lying on. And we're going to start by noticing your breath. Your breath doesn't need to change. Just notice the rise and fall of your belly or your chest every time you inhale and exhale. Allowing yourself to arrive into this space, into this call. Letting go of any to-do lists or checklists that you have been running around doing today, or you still have to do after this experience. Just allowing yourself to arrive, to pause and slow down. There's nowhere to go, nothing to do. Maybe placing your hands on your body, wherever that feels nourishing and comforting to you. Maybe it's one hand on your heart, another hand on your belly or your pelvic bowl. Letting go of your shoulders, unclenching your jaw, moving your jaw side to side. Relaxing the area behind your ears. Relaxing your facial muscles. Relaxing your brain. Just allowing yourself to drop from your head into the body and into the truth of who you are and what you want. Below all the layers of what everyone else wants of you, of what society demands of you or other people, or sometimes that you demand of yourself. Just dropping below all of that. Allowing yourself to breathe and be here. Feeling your body being firmly planted here on the furniture, on the surface. And with every single exhale, I invite you to feel yourself becoming heavy. Noticing where your body meets the furniture. Breathing into those spaces now. So breathing into your back, into your base, into your feet. And if your feet are planted on the floor, I invite you all to imagine as if roots are growing from your feet into the floor and into the earth. Surrendering your weight down into this safety and this support of the furniture, of the floor and of the earth. Knowing that the safety and the support is always available, always here, holding your body. Just allowing yourself to relax and breathe. Continuing to drop deeper, and here maybe you want to adjust or move in any small or big way that would allow you to arrive even more. Relax and let go even more. Maybe opening your mouth here and sighing out any tension, constriction, or just anything that wants to be let out. Maybe even releasing some sound. And next, I invite you to draw your breath deeper down into the body, into your heart. Noticing, how does your heart feel today? Noticing any textures or sensations or feelings in your heart without any judgment or labels. Breathing to the front, to the back and the sides of your chest as if to give more room and space to what is here now. Just observing and witnessing what's happening in this part of the body, saying hello to it. And then drawing the breath deeper down into the body, into your base. Focusing your mind's eye on your left hip, and then the right hip, and then in the center of your hips. And again, noticing what's happening in your body in this part of the area today. Noticing any textures, sensations, or colors that might be popping up for you. Again, no labels or judgment, just breathing and noticing. And again, maybe you want to move your body here as if to welcome whatever's here now. And then I invite you all to drop this question into the body with your eyes still closed. What am I ready to let go of when it comes to my dynamics with men? What am I ready to let go of? Just noticing what comes up for you. Allowing for that to land in the body. And then again, maybe moving your body as if to simply welcome that. Witness what's here in the body, moving and breathing with that. And then gently, slowly, taking one last breath into that experience, into what's happening in the body, and then coming back into the room, into the call, opening your eyes. Welcome back, everyone. The ladies on the call are very familiar with this practice because we start every call with that. But for those of you who've just experienced this, I invite you to maybe comment below if you're watching this or listening, make a note, and maybe even let me know what has come up for you. And for the ladies on the call, Lena, Rima, Marielle, and Amanda, let us know in the chat box. As usual, we usually have these calls on Zoom, but here on Riverside, we're recording. You can see a chat box. I think it's in the upper right corner. Just click chat and then let us know in the chat box. What are you ready to let go of? What came up for you? Lena says, letting go of expectations. Yes. Marielle, let go of fear of abandonment. Rima, decisions, control. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing. All right, let's begin this coaching call, and we shall begin with our wins. So we usually start our coaching calls with wins, but because this is a bit of a different experience, I'm going to call each and every one of you to, number one, introduce yourself, and then share your win. And here you can share as much as you want. Some of you are going to be just saying, here's my name, and here's my win. And I know some of you are going to be like, this is the most amazing program ever. And so feel free to do that now. If this is your win, then this is your win. So let's begin. Lena, I'd like to invite you first to share your experience. Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, what made you join the program maybe, and your win.
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. I'm the one who, as you mentioned, it was on her bucket list to be on this podcast, so this is great. I'm 34. I live in Toronto, Canada, and I found out about your work really quickly at the end of 2021. I was getting out of a serious relationship at the time, and I was basically in a bit of a headspace where I wanted to reassess who I was in order to kind of give myself a chance to change where I was headed. And I fell into a rabbit hole of podcasts. And I listened to a podcast, and the guest on the podcast was Brian Reeves, who happened to mention you and your work, Anna, and your podcasts. And so
Oh,
then
wow. I didn't
yeah,
know that. Thank you.
yeah.
What
So
podcast was that?
it was Create the Love by Mark Gross, who's
Ah,
also
yes.
Canadian, by the way.
Who's also been on my podcast.
Yeah,
I
well, that's
believe.
amazing. Has he? I don't know. If
Yeah.
he hasn't, he must. That's for sure.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah, so then so then he mentioned claim. So then I started listening to your podcast, and I literally binged every episode for like, I think, months. And you were talking about your coaching program. So I was definitely curious about it. And I did the discovery call with String, your husband.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And which was an interesting experience. And then I joined the program in January 2022. So it's been exactly a year now that I've been in the program. And as much as, you know, initially when I joined the program, I thought that what I wanted or what I was hoping for was to be claimed by someone. That hasn't happened for me yet. And I think what my win is that I think the result of me joining this program is that I really claimed myself, as cheesy as this is going to sound. And I posted in our group, you know, the experiences that I've had over the last year, inside and within dating and outside dating. And, I mentioned in one of my posts that, this is the longest I've ever been single since I'm 20 years old. I've been kind of in a pattern of jumping from one relationship to another, long-term, long distance also relationships. And, I finally decided to break that pattern. And now I've been single for a year, and this is the happiest I've ever been. And, I am dating. And, there's definitely something that you mentioned in the program when you say, you know, as you do the work and you level up and you really focus on yourself and you do the work, the guys that you meet, the men that you meet, get better. And that's exactly what I've experienced over the last year. The men that I'm meeting, that I'm dating, are just getting, increasingly more masculine, showing up for me more, doing things that I never thought I even wanted or felt like I needed. And, so that's kind of like an overall win for me joining the program.
Amazing. By the way, I just checked. I did interview Mark Rose on my podcast. It was a while ago. It was in March 2020. Amazing guy, obviously.
Yeah.
And Lena, I love your win here because, you know, a lot of the times, I mean, obviously, the women who join the program, they want to be in a relationship. They want to get married. They want a family and all of that, right? And while, you know, there's plenty of women who have experienced that and have gotten that result, even got married and now are having babies, since, you know, the program is quite young. It's only 3 years, but we do see women. I'd say that they're probably the outliers, and I'm not going to lie here because, well, first of all, I just want to mention, I love your win because it's not about the men, it's about you. And when I created this program, I was very clear about the results that women should get. And I personally think that any program or coach that's going to promise you that you're going to get into a relationship or get married is not really in integrity, so to say. Because yes, all of us can tomorrow get into a relationship if you really wanted to, but then what kind of a relationship it is, what quality of this man that you're going to be with, and is it really going to be aligned with who you are? And I personally think that, you know, the divorce rate today is so high, which is 50%, mostly because, well, women and men, humans, people, don't know themselves, well, and thus obviously are attracting their mirrors, who are also, and, you know, I include myself in that camp. I think most of us have, well, I don't know if this is like the statistic, but definitely more than 50% of population have been in these unhealthy dynamics. I have been in unhealthy dynamics growing up, and so on and so forth. And so the number one work that we need to do is the work on ourselves, because when we get into that place as women where we're in our feminine, we're happy. And as you say, like this is, Lena, I think your experience is, for me, the best success story. Yes, of course, you know, when you get claimed, I want to shout out from the rooftops, and especially when we get nearer. But for me, that's not the measure of success in this program. Yes, it's like tick box, she's got claimed, but the measure of success is when you tell me, Lena, I've been here for a year and I've been the happiest I've ever been. I broke through my patterns and the men are getting better and better. And that is the result that you should experience in the claim program, that you're going to start to attract quality, committed masculine men, because you are using these tools to become the woman who you've always wanted to be, and then that has been dormant there. So thanks for sharing, Lena. Really appreciate it. Let's move on. What about you, Rima? If you want to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you're from. Maybe you can tell us, you know, how you joined the program, and then what's your win.
Yeah, so Rima, I live outside of Chicagoland. I am 42, soon to be 43. I joined Claimed actually maybe about 3 months ago. I just kind of randomly came across Anna's program, really because I was kind of at my wit's end with dating, to be honest. I'd spent many years dating, and I kind of, you know, the ebbs and flows of dating these days, you know, online apps and quality versus quantity and all the various issues that are the dating world today. And I had gone through kind of a string of probably about 2 or 3 men that on the surface looked like really viable candidates. And after a few dates, they just disappeared or evaporated in one way or another. And I just felt really disillusioned and very, maybe not hopeless, but just very, very frustrated. And I started to feel like this keeps happening to me. This is a pattern. Why do I keep meeting these men who I think are options or possible, you know, what I would perceive as a masculine man that I'm looking for, and yet it just never comes to fruition? What's happening here? What am I potentially doing to contribute to this? So I started just kind of researching and looking online for really answers and some ideas of what might be happening. And I came across your program, Anna, and I listened to some of the podcasts and some of the discussions, and it just kind of clicked for me. I thought, yes, I am a successful professional woman and very driven, very passionate. I'm a consultant, so I'm used to being in control. I run big teams of people. I'm, you know, very successful from that perspective. But all those traits that make me really successful in my professional life and in other areas of my personal life do not translate when it comes to having a relationship with a man, the kind of masculine man that I personally want in my life and that I feel very strongly that I need. And so I joined the program. I had my discovery call actually with Barbara. I actually teared up in the midst of it when we were talking, and I did the brief visualization of what I wanted and what I was really seeking, and that sense of security in a relationship, that sense of safety and comfort that comes with a really strong, healthy relationship. And I was kind of like, whoa, I'm not a very emotional person on the surface, so that was kind of a big thing for me. And I kind of dove headfirst into the program and, you know, kind of blew through the first few modules. The second module was actually really challenging for me because I don't have a lot of obvious limiting beliefs. The limiting beliefs that I did uncover are more kind of they're more surface. So they're not very obvious. I came from a very loving, very kind of traditional masculine feminine dynamic. I had really great role models in that sense. A lot of the types of things that a lot of women struggle with because they don't have, I did. And so I really had to dig deep and do a lot of excavating to find those limiting beliefs, but I did find some, and I continue, you know, as I've gone through the program, even now, like I continue, you know, to find things and see things. And I'm like, oh, that's a limiting belief. I need to look into that. I need to kind of explore that a bit further. Yeah, so I've been in the program for about 3 months, and I started with dating a few gentlemen, and quickly one of them rose to the top of my funnel. You know, he was extremely eager and persistent. We matched on one of the dating apps, and he wanted to meet that evening. We started off going for drinks, which turned into a 5 hour long steak dinner at a very nice restaurant. He, insisted on paying for my valet. He, all the things that you kind of read about and hear about women in Anna's program, experiencing, which I was kind of like, yeah, right. Like,
They're not, those men don't exist. It's a fantasy. That's not for me.
But by comparison, I've had dates literally who wanted to meet at Walgreens, and their idea of a great date was walking around a Walgreens, so I mean, I was kind of taken aback. But he was everything that I was looking for as far as a masculine partner. We just recently, just in the last few days, he claimed me, so he wants to be exclusive. He wants to move forward together. He's, talking about even, meeting his family and moving in and other things that are, a little bit pushing my boundaries, right? Because that's a bit quick for me. But he's established, he has, 2 young children, and, has been, divorced for several years now, and is ready to move on with his life. And, I'm thrilled at the way things are going so far. So I'm very excited about it. But it is fascinating to me, because even now, I went on a trip and I saw, I was at a resort in Cabo, and I was paying attention to the dynamics that I was watching around the pool, the men and women who are on vacation together, and seeing, kind of the polarity at work. And I've become much more aware of it, and much more aware of, like, for myself, being very, very like sensitive and mindful about how things affect me, and what I think of things. Some of the early challenges I had with this gentleman were, like we had kind of a staycation that we did, and he had the hotel put flowers around the bed and other things, and I was kind of blown away, because I was like, oh, it's really early for that kind of gesture. But I actually took a moment and thought about it, and I was like, you know what, damn it, I deserve flowers. I deserve that kind of treatment, and it really goes back to kind of those limiting beliefs, right? Of, it's not too soon for somebody to show appreciation and show care like that. Wasn't expecting anything in return. It was just, he wanted me to feel special, right? And I deserve that. And so for me, a lot of my challenges are just getting out of my own way. And, like I said in the chat, letting go of control and letting somebody else actually make decisions and do nice things for me. I know cerebrally that I deserve that stuff, but I never expected it. And so now it's not so much that I expect it, but I appreciate it. And I'm able to verbalize that I appreciate it, and recognize when I feel that bit of like anxiety or, challenge initially, I'm able to kind of work through how it's making me feel and embrace it and really embody it, which is something that I haven't done previously. So that's probably the biggest change for me. And I think has
Beautiful.
created more of an openness in this relationship than I've had before about how I'm feeling and how I come to the table and what I bring with me.
Yeah. Amazing. Thanks so much for
Welcome.
sharing, Rima.
Happy to share.
So, Mariale, just unmute yourself and tell us about who you are and why you joined Claimed, and what is your win? I know you have a challenge, and we're going to get into your challenge, but if you have a win, because I usually, I want to hear a win, big or small, it doesn't matter. Please let us know.
Well, I'm from Florida. I live in Florida. I'm 44. What made me join the program was kind of funny, because just divorced like a year and a half ago. We separated, then we divorced, and he was like my first boyfriend, and we got married, and then we were married for 16 years. So I have no experience on dating, or not a lot of experience on dating. So I started dating, and it was like, at first everything was wonderful, but I keep like meeting guys that were only interested in how I look, or wouldn't do nothing for me, or be so interested in me for the first 3 dates and then just disappear and won't say absolutely anything. So it got kind of frustrating. really, really frustrating. So by chance, I just saw a video, one of your videos on YouTube that talk about the feminine and the masculine. And I just realized that the last 5 years of my marriage, I was always on my masculine. I was taking control of all the decisions of my house, of my kids. So I was the man of the house. So I was dating from a masculine energy. And I was trying to control the situations. And added to that, I always have this fear if I don't do what men want, they're going to leave me or abandon me, and I'm not going to have that possibility of finding someone else. Right? So I started watching on YouTube the videos, recognize that the feminine energy is the way I have to. And just by like looking a few videos and listening to you, I started changing little things and twitching little things on the things that I was doing, like by dating. And by that time, what I call like so much improvement on the guys that I was attracting, the way I'll feel on the dates and all that. So I say I may give this a try. So I continue watching videos, trying to apply what you say there, and I see some improvement. I know I still have like a lot of challenges to come through for, but I mean I saw improvement, and I realized that it's something that I would love to do and see how it worked for me. And at that point, like it worked. It's still working. I just still have to work and little things. But I found out that like to me being on my masculine and turning back to my feminine is a big change all over my life. And the thing is I have no issues being feminine around men that I'm not interested in. I'm gonna get my tires fixed. I get my door fixed. I get what I want. Men have no problem like helping me everywhere I go, and also have no issues finding like dates or phone numbers. I'm very feminine on that way. But when it comes to a man that I'm actually dating or I like, it's everything completely shifted. And I keep getting good quality men, but I keep getting 3-4 dates, really 3-4 dates, and then they just disappear. So if I have to say a win, well, I just wanted to say like one of those guys on my funnel. I'm changing. I just have was promoted from one position to another position. So I have like a work meeting, and I told him about it, and he showed up with like flowers and to congratulate me for my promotion. But the rest, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nice. All right. So we're going to get into this challenge because I think this is quite common that, don't have any problems and can be feminine with the guys that I'm not really attracted to or not for me. But challenges start happening where it's actually the man that I'm interested in. So, Mariale, I invite you into the hot seat. And you already shared a little bit about your challenge, but let's and I know that Lena, Rima, you're all good. You know how the process works and all of that. So we're here to have Mariale on the spot, and then there's going to be a discussion. I'm going to provide some coaching and some recommendations for you, just like we're doing on a call. So Mariale, what is the challenge, and what can we help you with? What is the question that you have for me and the amazing women here on the call?
Well, as I say, it's hard for me to like it goes only 3 days, 4 dates, and then disappears. So, and I understand, and that's what I was saying on the group. I'm like sometimes get sad and frustrated because I understand that funneling help us not to like just focus in one guy, but then it's heartbreak after heartbreak because I have 7 guys on my funnel, and all of a sudden I have 0 again. So I don't feel no one stays there. So it's like instead of one guy breaking my heart, it's like 6 guys breaking my heart. So I just feel it that way, and because I have this fear like being abandoned, and I keep being abandoned and just left there. I just felt like I had to say something. I don't know if everyone like goes through this situation, and I understand the funneling, and some weeks I'm like with 6 guys, so I'm happy, but then next week no guys at all. So it's like very
Got it.
frustrating,
Okay.
and it hits me a lot.
Got it.
And
So
I,
my next question would be here, and before I give other women a chance to contribute and to share what they have for you, let me just ask you a few questions. And my next question normally would be, Mariale, if you would have been with me on the call sharing your story, I would ask you, how does it feel? And you already told me that, you feel sad, you feel frustrated, fear of abandonment, heartbreak after heartbreak. This is what I'm hearing. So let me just do a quick check-in where you are in the program, because I normally ask whenever a woman shares a challenge, I'm like, where's she in the program? How's your feminine flow? So tell me, where are you in the program in terms of your modules?
Oh, I'm a model 3. I thought I finished module 2, but every time this happened, I keep like finding another limiting belief or like trying to rephrase the other limiting belief. And so I was, I thought I was done. I went to model 3. I was a model 3, but I keep going back to model 2. So I didn't finish model 3 because I felt every time something like this happens, I feel like it's something else I have to work on. And I try
Got
to
it.
flow almost every day, and I do the flow, and then I try to do the limiting belief flow right after, just to get 2 done. I don't do sometimes I'm very busy, don't do it every day, but try to do as much as I can, at least 4 days a week.
Yes. Okay. So clarifying questions. Well, let's first start with the flow, and for everybody who does, because flow, I'm doing my flow is like an internal language here. So flow is a fundamental 5 minutes a day feminine embodiment practice that you will learn as soon as you join the program, right after module 2. And this is a practice that takes 5 minutes a day to begin with, and is really designed to help you get out of your head and into the body. And it's really a tool to help you process emotions and everything that's happening in the body. And it's the foundation of everything that we do here in Claimed. So walk me a little bit through, Mariale. How is that when you say I'm flowing 4 days out of 7, let's say, what do you feel? What happens in the flow? So like walk me through the experience, and what do you feel at the end of it?
So when I do the flow, the first one, like it's just the body flow, the feminine embodiment flow, I feel sometimes I just cry all over the flow. And then I pass to do the limiting belief one, and that one at the end, I always feel better because you ask us to embrace the new belief. And I try to keep that with me after the flows. So some flows are like in the morning. If I don't do the limiting belief, I don't cry in all of them. Sometimes I feel like very connected to my body, and it helps me start the day like really good. But after I work with the limiting belief, I'm always feel good, but I feel like at the end of the day or the next day I go back to the same. But I try to go back to the way I was feeling at the end of the limiting belief flows, and try to keep that
Okay.
image with me all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long have you been in the program, Marielle?
I think I'll say 2.5 months, 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And now let's talk quickly about module 2. Because as you know, first of all, module 2 is like this big, heavy module. Don't want to scare anyone, but this is where, the first 2 weeks in the program, module 1 is where you basically start to get to know about polarity, start to observe it, answer some questions, start to really understand pieces of the puzzle are coming together. And then also, this is where obviously you start doing your feminine flow, and it's just the foundation. And then in about 2 weeks or so, you're moving on to module 2. And module 2 is really designed to help you excavate and look at these patterns that you're experiencing and get to the bottom of why are these patterns happening for you. So there's, one worksheet, which is a 4-step process that I think, Marielle, you're mentioning. And then there is another worksheet with 5 different exercises that are designed to help you excavate and look into all of that. So, and normally, Marielle, and I that's why I want to do a check, because when I'm hearing a woman struggle with what you're telling me, and she's in module 3, this is kind of I don't want to say a red flag, but kind of bells ringing that module 2 work. Number 1, here's what's on my mind. Then I want to hear from all the other women, especially Rima. I think you've been there. Number 1 for me is probably module 2 work has not been done in the way that it's supposed to be done, where you go deep and you sit in the shit and the fear of abandonment for as long as it's going to take you to sit and feel through it until it doesn't have charge. And we can talk about this in the moment. And number two, if you're going through this experience and if you still know, like you mentioned to me, fear of abandonment, and I need to go back to module 2, my recommendation always, if you're struggling with this, is, especially because, Marielle, what I'm hearing you saying, heartbreak after heartbreak. Also in the Facebook group when you posted, you mentioned they're breadcrumbing me. That to me is not a position of power in dating. That to me is first of all, noticing your language and the way that you're saying, I'm funneling. So you're like doing everything right in terms of your funneling, but the energy that you're bringing into the funnel and how you're showing up in your body and your belief system, when you talk about heartbreak after heartbreak, when you look at the funnel and when they're breadcrumbing me, not a powerful position to date. This is not a place from where you want to actually even have a funnel. So when I talk to a woman like you, I'm like, Marielle, we got to take a step back, because if you're not sitting in the shit and not doing, and I know you are doing the work. So first of all, I want to commend you for it, because this is really hard work. You know, it might be exhausting. It's deep work, but it's also generational. So a lot of this stuff is such deep work, and and I congratulate you for doing the work. But sometimes I feel like, and we're going to keep coming back to module 2. It requires, how shall I say this? A lot of reverence and patience with yourself. I know you want to get to that moment of being claimed, having an amazing man, but unfortunately, you can't rush this process. And actually, maybe fortunately, because as Lena was saying, or Amanda was saying, this is not about men. This is about you. So if you're seeing that you're doing the work, you're trying really hard, and I can really, I applaud you for that. You're funneling, you're flowing, great. However, the quality perhaps of that flow or of that funnel of the work that you're doing in module 2, maybe we need to sit with that a little bit more. And I'm really happy that you're here on the call and you voiced this in the group, because I'm sensing that there still needs to be work done. And I would recommend putting a pause on your dating funnel, because it's just like you're not going to get out of it if you're going to bring this energy into your dating funnel. Does that make sense? I just want to check in with you.
Yeah, it does make sense. And I have thought about it, about like not dating for a little bit. And I'm glad you said that, because as I say, I think I finished the module and then go back, because I realized I didn't really finish the model. So I think, yeah.
So how do you know? Sorry to interrupt. How do you know that your work is done for now? What I'm saying for now is that a lot of women go through this process. Amazing. Men are getting better and better and better. And then I start dating and funneling. And then like, oh, okay, here's another pattern I'm seeing.
Yeah.
What is this mirror telling me? Men are getting better, but to promise you that you're going to be fixed, first of all, there's nothing to fix here. You're not broken. It's just layers and layers that you're going to uncover and discover. And it's a journey, right? And that's why this program teaches you to drop the expectations and to show up for yourself and do the hard work. And it's very hard work.
It is.
It can be taxing. And so you go in, and how you know your work isn't done in module 2 is when you keep seeing the patterns showing up, and this fear of abandonment and the language, all of that is telling me not ready yet to date in a new way. We still got to do the work here. So I'm glad that you're seeing this together with me. So now I want to open the floor. Rima, let's hear from you. And then Amanda or Lena, you want to share maybe your experience, maybe you've experienced something similar. And what would you tell Marielle?
Yeah. So first off, I had almost the exact same challenge and experience for such a long time. And it probably the last year or so prior to me joining the program, I just saw this repeated pattern where I would get to a second or third date with a man who I was really attracted to, and I thought had, all the different aspects that I was looking for in personality and character. And he would just disappear, right? Poof, gone. And it was super frustrating. And like you say, I mean, it was very, almost like self-inflicted abuse in a way, emotionally, because they say the definition of insanity, right, is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome. And I really got to a point where I was like, what is wrong? I never felt like there was something wrong with me, like Anna says, it wasn't that I was broken or anything. It was just, there was behaviors and the way I was showing up, the energy I was putting out that just was not conducive to attracting and retaining. I had no problem attracting them, but retaining the kind of man that I really wanted to have in my life. And so when I started the program and module 2, I put in the chat, I felt like module 2 was a bit like Navy SEAL Hell Week. Because I mean, for me, it was especially challenging because, like I said earlier, I didn't have a lot of like the big obvious things, right? I had a very good example of feminine and masculine polarity growing up. I had, a lot of, I'm not overly feminist, as far as the toxic femininity or toxic feminism. And, I don't subscribe to a lot of the things that are kind of maybe more of the red flags types of limiting beliefs, but I had a lot of really small ones that were very impactful and very buried very deeply. For instance, like dating multiple men casually and just enjoying myself and just letting myself have fun without the stress or the pressure to, make more of it or move more quickly or, other things. Like I had to really dig deep. And like you, I went from module 2 where I thought I was done to 3. And then I went through, I had a couple of disappointments and I was like, what happened here? And I went back to 2 and I remember falling asleep on the floor of my bedroom crying after being, disappointed once again. And I realized that I still had more of these beliefs I need to really work through. And honestly, pretty quickly after I kind of pushed through what I think, I don't think you're ever really done with module 2, to be honest. I do think that you just kind of like, you get to a point where you feel like you can actually go forward with a clear mind and a clear heart and be open to receiving. And that to me is where you kind of go from 2 to 3 and beyond. But I think that at least for me, there have been times when I've gone back, maybe not formally to module 2, but I've gone back in my head and kind of gone through the thought process of module 2 of a flow of saying, okay, I'm having this feeling right now in this moment, and I know I don't like it. And why don't I like it? Why am I uncomfortable? What am I feeling exactly? And identifying it. Because for me, that's always been the biggest challenge, was like identifying how I was feeling in the moment and actually embracing it and allowing myself permission to feel it, and then being able to release it and move forward without it, kind of burdening me. And so I've been able to do that multiple times since, without actually going back to module 2, but more so really it comes down to, for me at least, being able to really feel how I'm feeling and allowing myself that space so that then I can move forward in a positive way with an openness. And I think that honestly is a huge factor for the success I've had since, because I don't allow myself to carry all that crud forward and just kind of stuff it down and just try and move on past it. It's not about moving past it. It's about allowing yourself to feel it and then releasing it truly, for me at least.
Yes. Thanks for sharing, Emma. Anyone else wants to add anything?
I have a bit of a different experience, because when actually it's kind of funny. I wasn't dating at the time, so I didn't actually have the, I guess, experiences that you, Rima and Marielle had when you kind of went out dating and then you weren't getting the type of, I guess, results that you were expecting. And that was your trigger, I guess, to the appeal to going back to module 2, like thinking, oh, maybe I'm not done. Me, it was literally like I was done module 2. I thought I was done module 2. And then I started module 3 and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't understand. My wild woman, like, what is this? Like, I just couldn't connect with the material. And I was so disappointed because I was like so into this whole thing. And then I felt like I started module 3 and I hit a roadblock, and I was so excited for it, but I wasn't feeling excited about it. So I went on a coaching call. And then we did the wins. And then after we talked about challenges, and I literally went on and I was like, Anna was actually coaching that day. And she was like, so what's your challenge? I was like, well, I'm doing module 3 and like, I hate it. I was basically like, I'm not loving this. Like, I can't connect. It doesn't resonate. And I was just like, so like, you could tell in my behavior, like I was just like grumpy, like it wasn't fun. And so you asked me the same questions. You were like, okay, well, tell me about your experience for module 2. And that's exactly what it was. I didn't feel the way I was supposed to feel. And I didn't feel like I was ready to move on to module 3. I was the same. I wanted to skip through. I was just excited to see what was coming up next in the module, but you cannot rush this. You can't rush it. And you got to just exactly stay in it, like sit with the shit, like we've said a million times on this call. And literally like, you know, go through the excavation and just keep flowing and do flows and do long flows. I'm not even as diligent as I should be, but you can tell the difference in how you feel once you really do that flow. That, you know, when you see you crying all the time, like I think that's a good sign. That means that you're headed in the right directions, because that means that you're excavating something. So that was definitely, like I said, a bit of a different experience. But then once I really did finish, quote unquote, temporarily module 2, and I jumped into module 3, and then I started doing the material and some of the homework of module 3, which I will not mention, but we know what I'm talking about. And I was so excited about it, and I was loving it, and it just like, I don't know, and then it just like propelled me forward into the program. And then after that, I felt like I was in a better place to start dating, and that was kind of my journey.
So if you look, Mariali, and I know you're module 2, 3, if you look at how, I don't even know how this happened. People tell me I'm a genius, but I don't believe that. But anyways, even in the, like, because when I put the program together, I honestly almost didn't know what the hell I was doing, because I was just basing this on my experience and everything that I've, you know, worked with women, research and everything, right? And it just, my mind just works in this way where I see clarity in the journey and the path. And if you look at the path of the program, there's 5 different modules. The first one, as we talked about, is all about polarity and embodiment and sensitizing the body. This is it. No expectation, just go feel, learn how to feel, get out of your head and into the body. Module 2 is all about what we talked about. It's the pattern, the excavation for you, Mariali. And that's how you know that the work is not done. If you keep stumbling upon these things, if it's still in the body, if you're still crying in your flows, right? And once you get, and I normally say, stay in module 2 between 2 to 4 weeks. Like, I don't want you to stay there forever, because then you can just be stuck and never get out of it, right? 2 to 4 weeks max, and then move on, right? I feel, Mariali, and then if you're not sure, check in with me on a coaching call or in the Facebook group. My sense, Mariali, is that you gotta continue to feel this rejection, this frustration, heartbreak after heartbreak, because as Amanda said, you're gonna get to the point as you do this work and trust the process and go through the journey, where dating and funneling is supposed to be effortless and fun and exciting. And if the guy is not calling you after the 3rd date, well, Amanda's like, your loss. I would check in with the attitude, but I would be like, that doesn't, like, I don't even remember who that guy is. And I don't even know who he is. And why the hell is his number in my phone? That's the place where you need to get that it doesn't really bother you. I always think about this example, like Palvi shared it. I don't know if you've seen that in our group. It was amazing. Palvi is a woman who's a little bit bigger, let's say, than me, and or, you know, skinny women, whatever, you know, she's got a voluptuous, amazing figure, so to say. And then she shared this thing in the Facebook. I was amazed by it, how this guy, who's apparently a trainer or whatever, he told her, she shared a screenshot, he said he told her, you look a little bit chubbier than my taste. And I was shocked to even read that. And you know what her post was? She said, I don't know, 6 months ago or whatever, this would have been triggered me so much, and would like put me into that hole of self-loathing and the fact that I'm not this and this. You know what it is? Weight and women is like a relationship that has so many layers. And she's like, I got this comment. It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me because I know that this is not about me. It's about the guy. So as you do this process, and remember, module only when, so you do the work, the excavation, module 2. In module 3, it's exactly what Amanda was talking about. It's rediscovering who you are as a woman deep down inside, and giving you all these tools and advice and figuring out who you are, what you want, because this is all about you. This is not about the men. And only after that, which we're talking about a minimum of 6 weeks minimum. A lot of women spend a lot more time there. We got to talk about men. Men are all module 4 because this process is designed you to take you into a place where you're excited to date. And Amanda, by the way, I don't know if I 100% agree with the fact that you got to wait until your life is sorted and you got to put places to go and you're like looking perfect. No, if you feel excited to go out there and date and you have that queen mentality, which I feel like you have, go date. Do not wait until you're done because you might never be done. So that's the whole idea here. And I really recommend, Marielle, for you to, and I know that's not what you want to hear, but the signs that we're seeing, men are your mirrors. If you are, he's breadcrumbing me, heartbreak after heartbreak, well, you don't need to do any of that. That just a mirror of the internal work that needs to be done. So what I would recommend, slowly backing off into module 2, continue to do your flow, dropping deeper into your flows, coming up to the calls and continue to ask questions, reaching out to your support group and continue to feel all that you mentioned: sadness, frustration, heartbreak. Where does that live in the body? What's the texture of that? Stay with it, because you'll see that the more you stay, the way through to what you want is through the shit. The more you stay with it, you'll be surprised. And a lot of women feel like, oh my God, this is a never-ending process. I'll be with it forever. No, this will take faster if you allow yourself to actually open to it, open to the heartbreak, open to the sadness, to the frustration. See where this lives in your body and say, you know what? I'll be here and I'm available to feel this for as long as it needs to be done or to be felt. And then trust me, this might even take a few days. The moment you stop resisting the frustration, the feeling, why he's not calling me back and he's breadcrumbing me, the story, this is where you constrict and attach and depend. But the moment you say, all right, I'm ready to feel and I'll be here for as long as it takes. This is the moment where the timeline magically contracts and you're literally going to be there for life. I've seen this happen time and time again. So I invite you to step on this journey of feeling all the feels. And what you're doing right now, I think, is perfect. You just need a little bit more time. And I agree with Lena, or who said this, you can't rush it. You just can't rush it, unfortunately. This is something that I wish I could give you a point A to B and a path forward and deliver you a man. But this is personal growth. It's personal development. And it's the work that needs to be done in order for you to come into that mindset and to this embodiment of who you truly are, that you're showing up on a date with a man as a gift without any expectation or where this is going, knowing that he, as the masculine will lead you forward. You trust that. And they will, as we have already seen with these 3 women and the other women. And the quality of men are just going to change as soon as you do this work. You're not going to be available anymore for the breadcrumbs. You're going to be available anymore for the heartbreak. And your bullshit radar, as I started calling it, is going to be so strong that that's not going to bother you anymore. And if it will, then you're setting up boundaries and saying, sorry, you're going to choose you instead of choosing to constantly, like, I have these 6 guys and I have 6 heartbreaks. No, I'm going to choose myself and I'm not going to be available for any of that. How does that feel for you, Marielle? And unfortunately, we're going to have to finish here. But I just want to give you a chance to voice out how that feels for you.
Well, I really feel empowered, and I felt confident, and I needed to hear these from people that is having the same experience. And I'm just going to take a quick stop and really sit down and feel and do my model tool properly. And then I'll go from there. But I feel really encouraged,
Yes.
really. Yeah.
Awesome. And keep showing up and asking questions, because I'm here to support you and obviously the whole community. And let us know what's happening.
I will.
All right, ladies, we're going to finish off here. I could stay. I mean, there's so much that we could uncover and talk about and everything. I mean, I'm like, anyways. So thanks so much for your time, your energy. I'm so excited to release this and show the world what's possible and what's going on inside Claimed. And I'm hoping that you will maybe hear from women who joined the program and said, I've watched you, I've listened, this is for me. Thanks for encouraging. And maybe some of you can actually, I'll be contacting the 3 of you, maybe Marielle in the future, to actually have a proper, maybe like a, client roundtable success story interview. So thanks so much, ladies. I'm just going to unmute all of you to say goodbye. It was a pleasure, and we'll see you on the inside.